Monophasic liquid dosage forms, we will see the remaining part. So monophasic preparations are basically a solutions. Monophasic means only single phase, and single phase means when the drug is completely dissolved as well as other ingredients are completely dissolved and there is only single phase exists, that is called as the monophasic preparation. Now what is the solution? A solution is a liquid preparation that contains one or more soluble chemical substances dissolved in a specified solvent. So that is called as the solution. What is solution? A solution in which we are dissolving all the ingredient completely and there is the only single phase, that is called as the solution. Now advantages of that solutions. When we are preparing the such kind of monophasic solutions, they have one best advantage is that there is the immediate absorption of the drug is takes place from the stomach as all the ingredients are completely dissolved. So at the ionic state, your drug is dissolved. So that's why it is ready to absorb. So the time is required for the dissolution is already covered while preparing your solution. No need to dissolve that drug when it is reaches to the your stomach. Already it is dissolved. That's why that is that drug is in the ionic state. So when it is reaches to the stomach, so it is ready to absorb. So it is quickly absorbed by your wall of stomach and it is you are getting the quick effect. Then when we are preparing the solution of the hygroscopic drugs, for example, any drug is there which is soluble in water and suppose that drug is having the tendency to absorb the moisture when it is kept in the solid state. So that drug is called as the hygroscopic. So such type of hygroscopic drugs, suppose we are giving to the patient in the solid state form, then suppose we have prepared the tablet of that hygroscopic drug, then what will happen? It will absorb the moisture from the environment and it will swell there itself and it will get breakdown. So your tablet will not have the good stability because of the hygroscopic nature of that drug. So such drugs, suppose we are dissolving in the water and in the form of solution, we are giving to the patient, it means we are saving the problems of the drug or we are avoiding the problems of the tablets. So instead of solid dosage form, suppose such a drugs we are giving through the solution form, then it will be very much better. So that drug will not be deteriorate. That drug will be always in the soluble form. So no, there will not be any problem of that drug. In the solid state, when it will absorb the moisture, then microbes will develop. That tablet will not be able to give the your required effect. So that's why for the hygroscopic drugs, solutions are the better, we can say, uh, alternative than the solid dosage forms. Now the solutions are having the some disadvantages. As I have already told you that your solutions when drug is in the ionic state, so such kind of drugs when completely dissolved as well as we are dissolving all the ingredients, so there might be chances that incompatibility may be occur or reaction between the ingredients may be occur. So that reaction may leads to the development of the third product and that product may be harmful to the patient. So that's why there are the we can say one disadvantage or there is the one chance that incompatibility may be possible or your drug may not be stable for the longer period in the liquid state. Then another disadvantage of solution is that there is the chances of bacterial infection or the contamination. So many times your container is open. So in this case, your microbes may get easily entry into the solution and they can react with your product or that microbes may reach to the stomach. So here bacterial contamination is possible because solution is having the some concentration of water and that water is required for the development of the microorganism or it will act as a good source of nutrient. So that's why easily bacteria can develop in the solutions. So for that purpose we can add the any kind of antimicrobial agent to avoid the such kind of bacterial contamination. And for the incompatibility problem, uh, before preparation of that solution itself, we have to check the compatibility of the drug with the other ingredients. If the drug is suitable with the other ingredients in the soluble state, then only we can prepare the solution of that drug. Otherwise, we should not prepare the solution of such kind of drug, because if we are preparing and incompatibility is occurring, then that solution may not be useful for the patient. Suppose the drug is tested for the incompatibility before preparation of that solution, and then we have found that drug is having the compatible with the other ingredients, then no problem, we can prepare the solution. Then what kind of solvent used? So we have discussed yesterday, we can use the water as a solvent. We can prepare the solution by using your normal water also. Most of time we are using the purified water. Then we can use the water for injection. Then we can use the sterile water for injection. Then we can use the bacteriostatic water for injection. If the water is not possible, then instead of water, we can use the another solvent. If the drug is not soluble in water and you want to prepare the solution, then instead of water, we can take the oils or any kind of derivative of that oils. Then we can use the animal sources, fats also, like pig fat also we can use. Then vegetable sources like corn oil, cotton oil also we can use for the preparation of your solution. Then we can use the mineral sources like liquid paraffin also we can use. Then ethyl oleate also we can use as a vehicle for the preparation of the solution. Then hydroxylated compounds or the alcohols also we can use as a solvents like ethanol. Then propylene glycol also we can use. Then hydroalcoholic mixtures also we can use as a solvent. Then modern vehicle also we can use today. Today we are having the dioxazine solvent for the aerosol spray. Then dimethylene acetamide also can be utilized as a solvent. So these are the different solvents we can choose for the preparation of your solution. Then after that we can have the nowadays some ready-made prepared vehicles or the ready-made prepared solvents also, like purified water is there. Then aromatic waters are there. These aromatic waters are prepared by adding the particular type of ingredient. First water is the chloroform water. So in the aromatic water category, we can use the chloroform water also. So this water is prepared by addition of the some amount of chloroform, and then that water we can use as a vehicle or the solvent for the preparation of the solution. Instead of chloroform also, we can use the peppermint. If you are adding the peppermint into the water, then it will be called as a peppermint water. Then cinnamon water is also there, but you can use the extract of cinnamon and we can prepare that cinnamon water. Then dill water is also there. We can add dissolve the dill into the water and also we can prepare the dill water. So these are the specific types of aromatic waters are there. These are having the specific type of aroma. So here flavoring agent is not required. Itself they are having the flavor. Chloroform water, peppermint water, cinnamon water, dill water. They can be used as a vehicle or the we can say solvents. Then other types of vehicles are there for the external type of solutions. Those preparations we are applying for the skin. Then isopropyl myristate, liquid paraffin, they can be utilized as a vehicle or the solvent for the preparation of the solution. Then if you want to extract any drug and then you want to prepare the solution, then for the extraction purpose also we can use the isopropyl alcohol and acetone. So this kind of vehicles generally utilized for the preparation of your solutions. Then formulation consideration. Now formulation consideration means what? When we are preparing the any kind of dosage form, then we have to think about the dosage form, that what kind of problems will be appear and which kind of ingredients are required to complete that dosage forms. Now suppose you are preparing the solution, then first thing is we have to consider about the solubility of that drug. When we are preparing the solution means that drug should be soluble into that vehicle. If the drug is not soluble means what? You cannot prepare the solution. What is the definition of solution? The drug is completely soluble. Then only it is called as the solution. If the drug is not having the solubility means that is not called as a solution. So if you are preparing the solution, then your drug must be soluble. So to achieve the solubility of that drug, sometimes your drug may not having the good solubility. Partially solubility will be there, or 75% drug may be soluble, some amount of drug may not be soluble. So to complete the to achieve the 100% solubilization of the drug, we can have the another different methods. So by applying the various means of solubilization technique, we can solubilize your drug completely. For example, suppose you are dissolving the sugar into the water, then it will take too much time for the dissolution purpose. It is soluble, but it is requiring time. So simply we can heat that solvent, then easily it will get solubilized. So this is the one way of the solubilizing your sugar into the water. So by this way, for the solubilization of your drug, there are the so many ways, that is called as method of solubilization. So for the method of solubilization, or for the increasing the solubility of your drug, we can adjust the first of all pH of your solution. If you are trying to solubilize your drug into the water and you have found that some amount of drug is not getting solubilized, then you just adjust the pH of that water or that vehicle. If the pH is getting changed, suppose you have added the little bit amount of acid, then pH will be reduced. It will become acidic. Then you can try that whether it is having the solubility at particular pH. Suppose you have found that at the pH 4 or at the pH 5, your drug is having the solubility. Then you can adjust the pH. So this is called as the pH adjustment method. Then if your drug is not getting solubilized at any one pH, then another method is called as the co-solvency. In the co-solvency technique, you can take the another solvent and you can dissolve your drug into that solvent, and then you can add that solution into your main solvent. Then it is called as the co-solvency technique. By using the co-solvent, you can also increase the solubility of your drug. Then another technique is the solubilization. In the solubilization, you just try to solubilize your drug by any other means, by increasing the heat or by using the sterilization, stirring process. Just give the stirring process, just shake your water plus your drug very vigorously and you try to solubilize it. Or by using the spoon, you can stir the preparation and you can try to solubilize your drug. Then another way is the formation of the complex. So many drugs are having nowadays we are utilizing, they are having the complex form. Suppose your drug is not having the solubility in your drug, in your solvent or water, then you can first of all make the complex of the drug with the such ingredient which is having the good solubility in water. Then first of all, by chemical process, we have to make the complex of the drug with any reagent. Then after preparation of the complex or the formation of the salt, then your drug will have the good solubility in the water. Nowadays, there are so many drugs we are utilizing in your preparation of solution in the form of complex or in the form of salt. So such kind of complexation is prepared, and then we can go for the solubilization of that complete complex of that drug. Then another method is the hydrotrophy. In the hydrotrophy, we can use the any kind of carrier with your drug which is having the good solubility in the water. For example, polyvinyl pyrrolidone is the one reagent or the chemical. First of all, we have to make the uh, complex of your polymer as well as your drug, and then after that we can dissolve it into the water. Then your drug will have the good solubility. This is called as the hydrotrophy. Then another one is the another way is called as the chemical modification of the drug molecule. So in this process, uh, your drug itself is not having the solubility. So in this case, we can change its chemical structure. The chemical structure should be changed in such a way that its pharmacological action should not be changed, but only the physical characteristics should be changed, like solubility should be changed. So by this way, we can make the chemical modification of your drug, and then we can dissolve your drug or we can increase the solubility of your drug. So these are the, we can say, 2 to 4 techniques by which we can increase the solubility of your drug in the water. So this way, or these are the various techniques we have to apply for those drugs which are not having the good solubility in the water. Then another consideration is the preservation. Now preservation means what? When you are preparing your solution, then it should be stable or it should be protected from the various types of microorganisms. It should not have any kind of oxidation process. So by this way, we have to preserve your preparation. So preservation technology or the preservation funda is applied for all type of dosage forms. When we are preparing the any kind of dosage form, then that product should be preserved at the end of that product when it is completely utilized. So till the last utilization of that dose of that dosage form, that preparation should be protected from the environmental conditions as well as the microbes. So here, for the preservation purpose, we can add the preservatives. Preservatives means those ingredients which is having the ability to protect your product from the microorganisms. They are called as the preservatives. So we can add any kind of antimicrobial agents to preserve your preparation. Then another one is the antioxidants. We can add the antioxidants when your preparation is having able or able, your product is having the tendency to get oxidized. So to prevent the oxidation of your product, we can add the antioxidants. Then instead of oxidation uh, or instead of antioxidant agents, we can add also reducing agents or the synergist. So by this way also we can avoid the oxidation process. So by this way we can preserve your product. Oxidation suppose takes place means your product is liable for breaking of structure, and then it is may lose its pharmacological action. So by this way we can say that your product is going to deteriorate. So to avoid the such kind of deterioration from the microorganism, from the oxidation, we have to preserve your product by adding the such kind of ingredient. Then third point is the consideration of organoleptic consideration. Now what is mean by organoleptic consideration? Organoleptic means organ related considerations. Now organ related consideration means what? We are having the, we can say, sensory organs. First one is your tongue, which sense about the taste of your product. Then your nose is there, which sense about your smell of your product. So that's why those properties of your preparation which are related to your sensory organ, that properties called as the organoleptic properties. And we have to consider the organoleptic properties of your product. Now suppose your drug is bitter in taste, then what you will do? So that bitter drug cannot be taken by your child, or that bitter drug cannot be taken by the geriatric patient or the normal people also. So, so to avoid the bitterness of your drug, we have to avoid the sweetening. We have to add the sweetening agents. Suppose while preparing the solution of bitter drug, suppose we have not added any kind of sweetening agent, then that solution will not be accepted by the patient. So to increase the acceptability of your product, we have to add the sweetening agent. So when we are adding the sweetening agent, the bitterness of your drug will be minimized and your solution becomes sweet. So it will be easily taken by your patient. So this is called as the organoleptic consideration regarding the your sweetening property of your solution. Then next property is your flavoring agent. If your product is having the bad odor or the bad smell, then your nose itself will reject your solution, or it can cause the nausea. So that's why we have to consider about the final flavor of your product. If your product's flavor is not good, then we have to add the flavoring agents. So if you are adding the flavoring agent, then your product will be accepted by your patient. Otherwise, it will be rejected because of the bad odor or the bad flavor. So this kind of problems are, we can see, we have to consider. Then next problem is regarding the coloring agent. If your solution is having the very bad color, then patient will try to reject that product because it is not looking good. So to make your product very attractive one, that's why we have to add the coloring agent. Now this color is judged by your eye. So that is also your sensory organ, eye. So it is having the judgment about the color of your product. If you are having the 3 to 4 products in front of you, and one is having the attractive color and another is not having the attractive color, then which one you will choose? You will choose the attractive product. So that's why to increase the sale of your product also, and to accept your product by the patient, we have to make it colorful. Now it is not mandatory to add the coloring agent, but for the acceptance purpose, we have to add the coloring agent. It is not having any kind of therapeutic effect on your body. So that's why coloring agent is not a mandatory, but to increase the attractiveness of your product, we have to add the coloring agent. And that colors, whatever you are adding, that should be certified by the Food and Drug Administration department. So there are so many colors nowadays we have available that are having the certified by the FDA department. So that type of colors only we can use to add into your product. Then another organoleptic consideration is the viscosity problem. Now viscosity is related to the your ease of measurement of your product. Already we have discussed about the importance of viscosity of your solutions. If your solution are having the good viscosity or the appropriate viscosity, then it is quite easy to measure your product very accurately. Then last we can say consideration is the overall appearance of your product. Now overall appearance means how you are decorating your product. Labeling is there, your bottle shape is there, as well as your closure is there. Nowadays you will find in market there are so many product having the same utilization, and they are decorating their product to increase the sale of that product. So overall appearance of your product must be attractive one. So that also we have to consider while preparation of your dosage form. Then last consideration is the stability. That is very much important one. Now what is the stability? Once suppose you have prepared the today your product, then how many days it will remain as it is? That is called as its stability. Suppose your product is having the only suppose 6 month life, then after 6 months it will not be utilized, it will be expired. Suppose your product is having the 6 year stability, it means up to the 6 year it will be remain as it is. So that's why if your product is having the good stability, then your product will be accepted by the marketed people. So that's why your product must have the good stability. So regarding the your stability of your product, we have to check its stability by various means. So there are the two types of stability in your product. There is the one is the chemical stability as well as the physical stability. Chemical stability means what are the inherent properties of your drug which is having the chemically strong, and it is not acted by the microbes, it is not attacked by the any kind of oxidation reaction. So inherent structure of your drug, suppose it is having the good stability, then it is called as the chemical stability. And physical stability means suppose your drug is having the problem regarding the less solubility, or it is become unstable due to the environmental conditions, or it is unstable because of your container and closure. So these kind of factors are called as the physical stability. So in this case, we have to see that your product should have the chemical as well as the physically good stability. Then only your product will be remain in the market for the longer period, and it will be sold very fast. So these are the main four considerations are there for your preparation of any kind of dosage form. So here preservation, organoleptic consideration, and stability, they are we can say applied for all the dosage forms except solubility. Now, what is the meaning of the solubility? When we are considering the solubility, and what are the terminologies about your solubility? According to our Indian pharmacopoeia, I have already told you that each country is having their own book of the information regarding the drugs. So that is called as the standard book of that country, and that is nothing but your pharmacopoeia. In our India, we are having the Indian pharmacopoeia. So according to the Indian pharmacopoeia, what is meant by exactly a solubility? Now there are the different we can say terminologies we are using for describing the solubility of your drug. Very soluble means the most of part of that drug are getting solubilized into your solvent. Very easily it is getting solubilized. Only one part and 99 parts are getting solubilized. Except one part, all the parts are getting solubilized. That is called as the very soluble. Now, freely soluble means what? From the 1 gram of that suppose part, or the 1 gram of the drug, only 1 to 10 parts of the drug are not getting solubilized, and remaining part or the 20% there is the easily solubilization is occur, or the 20 parts 90 parts of the drug are getting easily solubilized. That is called as the freely soluble. Then Soluble means what? Soluble means if the you are taking 1 gram of the drug and from that 10 to 30 parts are not getting solubilized, but remaining part are getting solubilized. Then sparingly soluble means 30 to 100 parts or the only 70, below 70 parts are getting solubilized. Then slightly soluble means it is taking too much time to get solubilized. Then very slightly soluble means near about 1000 parts or 100 to 1000 parts are, no, are getting solubilized. Then practically insoluble means more than 1000 parts of the drug are not having the solubility in your solvent. So these are the terminologies we are utilizing for the description of the solubility pattern of any drug. Now pH, a large amount of drugs are either weak acids or the weak bases. The solubility of these agents can be influenced by the pH of the environment. Co-solvency. This co-solvency means we are utilizing the any other solvent for the dissolution of your drug. These are the terminologies which are using, or these are the ways by which we are increasing the solubility of your drug by using the complexation, by using the hydrotrophy. Now the examples of your oral monophasic dosage forms. In the oral monophasic dosage forms, we are having the different types of examples of the dosage forms like draughts, drops, linctuses, syrups, elixirs, and mixtures. Now, what are the drops? It is the simple solution which contain the single dose. So they are ready to administer these containers. Only single dose is prepared. Very rarely we are using these kind of draughts. Generally, it is having the 50 ml volume or the 50 ml volume container is there. It is having the solution for the one time. The examples of such kind of draughts are ipecacuanha emectic draughts, then parahaldehyde draughts. The expiry of such kind of draught is 48 hours. Within 48 hours, we have to utilize that draughts. Then drops. These drops are basically solutions and they are administered by the drop size, means 1 drop, 2 drop. So in the form of drops, we are using them. That's why they are called as a drop. And these are utilized for the childs as well as for the organs like eye drops, ear drops, nasal drop. Generally, they are utilized with the help of droppers. This is called as the dropper. Then linctuses are there. Linctuses are viscous liquid oral preparations. They are utilized. They are generally prescribed for the cup relief purpose. They are consist of simple solution of drug in high concentration of sucrose. It means we are using the high concentration of sugar or the sugar solution, and we are adding it into the one drug which is utilized for the cup purpose. Examples of linctuses are codeine linctuses, diamorphine linctuses, compound tolu linctuses. Then formulation of the linctuses. In the linctuses, we are preparing them by using the your vehicle as a syrup or the tolu syrup. Now, how to prepare the syrup? First of all, you have to take the sucrose like 66.7% or the 66 gram of the sugar, and we have to add it into the water, and the water should be up to the 100 ml. First of all, you add the your 66 7 gram of sugar into the measuring cylinder, and then from that add the water, and that water should be added up to the 100 ml. You should not take separate 100 ml water and 66.7 gram of the sugar. You have to take the sugar and then we have to add the water up to the 100 ml. Then we have to dissolve that water. We have to dissolve that sugar into that water, and then it will form the syrup. and in that syrup we can add the your remaining ingredients to form the your linctuses. Then in this case we can add the other type of ingredients like chemical stabilizer, coloring agents, flavoring agents, as well as the preservative for the preservation of your linctus. Then syrups are already, I have told you that we have to take the 66.7 gram of the sugar as per the Indian pharmacopoeia. And suppose you are preparing the syrup as per the British pharmacopoeia, then in this case we have to take the 85 gram of the sugar and we have to add the water up to 100 ml. Then we can prepare the syrup as per the BP. So these are the two formula for the simple syrup. As per the Indian pharmacopoeia, only 66.7% of the sugar is required, and as per the BP, we have to require 85% of the sugar. Now there are the types of simple syrup or the types of different syrups. One is the simple syrup, that is just we can say sugar solution. Then medicated syrup means in the simple syrup, suppose you are adding the any drug, then that is called as the medicated syrup. Then another syrup is called as the flavored syrup. If you are prepared the simple syrup and you have added the flavoring agent, then it is called as the flavored syrup. Sometimes we can prepare the syrup by adding the non or the artificial type of sweetener. Suppose for the diabetic patient you want to prescribe the syrup, then in this case that simple syrup which is prepared by the sugar is not recommended because sugar can cause the problem in the diabetic patient. Suppose instead of that syrup we can prepare the syrup by using the artificial type of sweetening agents which is having the same value as your simple syrup. This is the formula for the preparation of the your syrup, simple syrup. Take the your sugar either 85% or the 66.7%. Suppose you have taken 66.7% of your sugar, then you can take the other kind of ingredients like glycerin, sucrose, ethanol, as well as the purified water up to 100 ml. Now the utilizations of your simple syrups or the syrups. Your syrup is having the already sweet taste. That's why it can be used as a sweetening agent for the other dosage form. This is having the also good antioxidant property. So it can be utilized as an antioxidant. It can have the also it can be utilized as a preservatives also because the concentration 66.7% of that sugar itself will act as a preservative action and no microbial growth will be takes place. It means you no need to add any kind of other preservatives. Also, they can act as a de-emulsant as a sweetening agent. It means when we are using the syrup for the cup preparation purpose, then in this case, your syrups will give the sweetening effect to your internal muscles. Examples of syrups are codeine phosphate syrup, then skill syrup. This is the preparation process of your syrup. Simply you have to take the your sugar and add the water up to 100 ml and dissolve it by gentle heating it. Sometime suppose your drug you are going to add into your simple syrup and that drug is thermolabile. It means that drug is getting unstable because of the heat. So in this case we have to avoid the heating of that preparation just by stirring with the help of rod or with the help of spoon. We have to dissolve your sugar. Then another one is the elixirs. Elixirs are we can say uh, flavored type of sweetening hydroalcoholic preparations. There are the two types of elixir: simple elixirs and medicated elixirs. Simple elixirs means in the elixirs we are taking the water, alcohol, and glycerin and flavoring agent. Then it is called as the simple elixir. Then suppose we are adding the any drug or any active ingredients, then it is called as the medicated elixir. Examples of medicated elixir is the phenobarbital elixir. Then other ingredients in the elixirs may require to add, there are a chemical stabilizer, then coloring agents, flavoring agent, sweetening agent, and preservative. This is the formula for the preparation of phenobarbital elixir. Suppose you want to prepare the phenobarbital elixir, then you have to take the phenobarbital drug 4 gram, orange oil 0.25 ml, then propylene glycol up to 100 ml, then alcohol up to 200 ml, then sorbitol solution 600 ml, and color in quantity sufficient or the little bit amount of coloring agent, and purified water lastly we have to add up to the 1000 ml. So by this way we can prepare your phenobarbital elixir. So for that process, first of all weigh your phenobarbital 4 gram, then measure your orange oil 0.25 ml, then these all the ingredients you add into your measuring cylinder. First of all phenobarbital you add, then add your orange oil, then take your propylene glycol 100 ml, then add alcohol 200 ml, then add your sorbitol solution 600 ml, then little bit quantity of coloring agent. Then after that you mix that all the ingredients very well till the complete dissolution of the phenobarbital. Then after that you can adjust the quantity of that whole preparation up to the 1000 ml by adding your water. So up to the mark of 100 ml, 1000 ml, we have to add your water. So when the mark of that total solution volume is coming up to the 1000 ml, we have to add your purified water. There are so many examples of elixirs are chloral elixir, pediatric paracetamol elixir, ephedrine elixir, and phenobarbital elixir. Then mixtures. Mixtures are also one part of your monophasic preparations. Generally, mixtures are having the, we can say, part of the biophasic preparation also. In the mixtures, we are just mixing all the preparation or all the ingredients into the one place. They are called as the mixtures. There are the examples of simple mixture, indiffusible mixtures, diffusible mixtures, then precipitate forming mixtures, and miscellaneous types of mixtures. When drug is dissolved completely, then they are called as the we can say monophasic mixtures. If the sometime drug is not having the solubility, then this they are called as the biophasic type of mixtures. Then in the mixtures we require the vehicle like camphor water or caraway water or any kind of aromatic water like chloroform water. Then any kind of drug if it is required you can add. Then preservative is required, coloring agents are required, thickening agents are required. Then remaining part of your liquids are gargles, mouthwashes, throat paints, glycerides, and throat spray. Now what are the gargles? These are also clear solutions which are intended for the washing of your mouth or as well as the throat. So in this case, gargles are not swallowed; they are just taken into the mouth, and after the gargling process, we have to throw out or the spill out that preparation with the help of water. Some amount of gargle we have to measure into the your measuring pot, and we have to mix it with the water, and then that water we have to take into the mouth, just mix inside your mouth itself, and uh, just gargle it, and then throw out it. So for that purpose only we are using the gargles. Generally in the gargles we are having the antiseptic agents, antibiotics agents, or local anesthetic agents, analgesic agents, as well as the deodorants. So generally in case of your treatment of the tooth, teeth, in this case suppose you have uprooted any teeth. So for the so many days there might be chances that bad odor may develop in the mouth because of the surgery of teeth. So to avoid the such kind of bad odor, as well as to avoid the infection of that teeth, or suppose there is a wound in your mouth, so to heal that wound also we are using the gargles. So for the treatment of your oral cavity we are using the gargles. That gargles should not be swallowed inside the stomach, they should be thrown out after the gargling process. Examples of gargles are phenol gargles, potassium chloride, chlorate phenol gargles, thymol glycerin compound gargles are there. Then mouthwashes. Now what are the mouthwashes? They are also same water solutions. They are utilized for the washing of your mouth cavity. They are called as the mouthwashes. Generally these are aqueous solutions used to cleanse and deodorize your buccal cavity. For that purpose we are using the mouthwashes. Generally, in mouthwashes, we are providing the antibiotic agents. So, medicated mouthwashes we are utilizing. Along with, we have to add the sweetening agent, surface acting agent, flavoring agent, coloring agent into the mouthwashes. Then examples of mouthwashes are alkaline phenol, hydrogen peroxide, buffering sodium perborate, compound sodium chloride mouthwash. These are the different types of mouthwashes are there. Depending on your requirement, you can prepare your mouthwash. So simply you have to take the drug and you have to take the water. In that water, we have to dissolve your drug and we have to add the remaining ingredients. Then throat paints are there. Throat paints are the liquid preparations applied for the mucous surface. So generally, in case of ulcers or in case of the your cough problem, we can have the problems in the inner membrane of your oral cavity. So in that case, we can use the throat paints. Examples of throat paints are compound iodine paints, crystal violet paint. Generally, these are very much viscous when we are applying them into the mouth cavity. So, with the help of any applicator, we have to apply your throat paints. Because of their high viscosity, they will stick on your internal mucosal membrane, and for the longer period, it will give the action. Then glycerides are there. Glycerides are viscous, hygroscopic liquids or the semi-solid preparation which contain 50% by weight of the glycerin and dissolved medicaments. It means here more concentration of glycerin is taken, and in that glycerin we are dissolving your drug, and that's because of the glycerin it is having the viscosity, and that's why it is called as the glycerides. So because of the glycerin it is called as the glycerides. So they are applied on your buccal cavity, and they are having the examples of borax glycerin, phenol glycerin, tannic and glycerin. Generally, they are utilized for the mouth ulcers. So this is the, we can say, little bit semi-solid type of structure is there, but they are not semi-solid in nature. Only the viscosity is high. Then throat spray are there. Throat spray solutions are aqueous alcoholic solutions. They are intended or they are utilized for the throat infection purpose, and they are utilized with the help of atomizer or the nebulizers. So in this spray solution, it contains the antibiotics, antihistaminic agents, vasoconstrictions are there. Examples are adrenaline as well as atropine spray. So this throat spray just we have to keep in front of your mouth, and we have to just press that button. Then you will give the spray of that medicament, or spray of solution will be there inside your mouth cavity or then inside the nasal cavity. So in the form of spray, we are applying your preparation. Then dotches are there. Dotches is medicated aqueous solution for rinsing body cavity applied at the lower pressure. These are the, we can say, small preparations are there. They are having the like eye dotches, pharyngeal dotches, nasal dotches are there. Generally, they are utilized for the cleaning of your cavities like ear cleaning, eye cleaning, nose cleaning. There are the different type of agents we are adding into the dotches like antiseptics, cleaning agents, and astringents are there. Then enemas are there. These are the also solutions, aqueous solutions or the oily solutions containing the we can say surface acting agents or the cleaning agents. So these kind of enemas we are using for the cleaning of the we can say rectum cavity, as well as for sometimes they are utilized for the treatment purpose also. Sometimes enemas are administered for the diagnostic purpose also, and sometimes it is prepared for the disposal enemas purpose. Now the cleansing enemas. These cleansing enemas are used to evacuate the feces from the rectum cavity. Suppose sometimes any patient is having the problem. In this case, uh, for the cleaning of the fecal matter from the rectum, we are using the cleansing enemas. There are the two types of cleansing enema: large volume and small volume. Or lubricating type of enemas are also there, containing the oils and arachis oils. Simply, this kind of lubricating enemas will lubricate the fecal matter, and they will try to evacuate the your rectum cavity. Therapeutic enemas are there. Generally, they are utilized for the surgery purpose. Like sedatives are there, anthelmintic agents are there to kill the worms. Then anti-inflammatory enemas are there. Then nutrient type of enemas are there. So depending on the problems of rectum cavity, we can utilize such kind of therapeutic enemas also for getting the local action at the rectum site. Then diagnostic enemas are there. They are utilized for the X-ray examination of the lower bowel, like barium sulfate enema is there. Suppose there is any problem in the rectum site, inside rectum, we have to insert this kind of enema, and then we can obtain the images. So like a X-ray of your bone, you will get the here X-ray or the image of your rectum site, and you will find the problems of the rectum site. So for that purpose also we are preparing the diagnostic types of enemas. These are also solutions. Enemas are available in the disposable plastic bags. It means once we have to utilize them and we can throw out that bags. Like your saline solutions are there, disposable bags are there. Then eardrop is there. Eardrops are the solution or suspension sometimes. They are intended to use for the problems of the ear cavity. That's why they are called as the ear drops. And drop wise, we have to add them dose of that solution. That's why they are called as the drop solutions or the ear drop. Generally, we are using ear drops for the mild infection of your ear cavity, for the softening of the wax inside your eye cavity, ear cavity, for the cleaning of your ear also we are using the ear drop, like spirit ear drop is there. For the ear drops we are having the small bottles as a container. Then nasal drops are there. Nasal drops are also liquid preparation. They are aqueous in nature or sometimes they are oily in nature. Generally they are administered into the nostrils or the nasal cavity with the help of drop wise dropper. Generally, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antihistamine type of drugs are utilized to prepare the nasal drops. Then nasal inhalations are there. Nasal inhalations are there means these are the solutions which are utilized by the we can say inhalator with the help of inhalators. Then in this case we require the inhalator apparatus. Generally, like your Jhandu balm, they are producing the vapors, okay, and then in the form of that vapors, we are getting the smell or the treatment of by using that nasal inhalator. They are also liquid solutions. Then nasal sprays are there. These are the various types of sprays for the quick action we are utilizing for the nasal problems purpose. Suppose we are pressing that switch, then it will produce the spray of the your solution, and it will be sprayed inside your nasal cavity. Like anti-inflammatory drugs solution also we are preparing. Then antihistaminic solution also we are preparing, or local anesthetic preparation also we are preparing in the form of solution. Then eye drops are there. These are also as like as your ear drop, as like as your nasal drop. Eye drops are also there. They are specially meant for the treatment of your eyes, and they are the clear solutions of water or the oils. Drop wise, we have to add into the eye. Then other type of monophasic liquids are there. They are meant for the external purpose, like skin purpose. They are liniments, lotions, and collodions. Now, what are the liniments? Liniments are the fluid or the semi-fluid type of semi-solid preparations intended for the external applications. So they are nothing but we can say monophasic types of preparations, and they are applied on your skin. Like analgesic type of liniments are there, rubefacient liniments are there, counter irritant type of liniments are there, or sometimes soothing liniments are there, sometimes stimulant type of liniments are there. So depending on your requirement, you can prepare any type of liniment. Then lotions are there. Lotions are very much familiar to all of you. Lotions are liquid preparation intended for the external application for the special use. Generally, they are prepared by using the water as well as the alcohol also. Then collodions are there. These are prepared for the external purpose only. Generally, in this case, we are dissolving the nitrocellulose as a polymer into the your suitable organic type of solvent, and it will cause prepare the clear cut monophasic type of organic solution. Then we have to apply that solution on the skin. Then after application, your solvent will get evaporated, and then the nitrocellulose polymer will remain on your skin, and it will form the thin film as like as your nail polish is there. Okay, so when we are applying the nail polish, your solvent will evaporate, and thin film of that nitrocellulose will be remain on your nail. So that is called as the collodion. Generally, they are utilized for the protection purpose or to protect your skin from the sunlight. These are the different types of collodion. Collodions are there. Flexible collodion, salicylic acid collodion is there. Then some another considerations are there regarding your other your preparations like raw materials, equipments, then cleaning of equipments, material of construction and compounding procedure. Now, when you are preparing your any kind of dosage form, then first of all you should consider about the what kind of raw material you are utilizing, because so many times it is found that your raw material is not having the good quality. Then what will happen? Your coming product will not having the good quality. So for that purpose, your raw materials you must have the good quality. Then only your final product will have the good quality. If the raw material is having the some contamination or the any other ingredients added, so first of all you have to remove that unwanted material from the raw material, or just simply we can say you have to purify, or you have to minimize the impurities from your raw material, and then we have to choose that raw material. Sometimes we can go for the sterilization of your raw material also. Suppose you are preparing the eye drop, then in this case your raw material must be sterilized previously, as well as your other ingredients also you have to sterilize, as well as your equipment also you have to sterilize. Sterilization means you have to kill the microbes from your raw material. You have to kill the microbes from your all the excipients, as well as you have to kill the microbes which are present on your container, as well as closure, as well as other equipments in which you are preparing your dosage form. So here this type of precautions we have to take, like we have to choose the right material, or the good material, or the raw material. Then what are the equipments we are utilizing for the preparation purpose? Inside the industry, there are the bigger jars are there which are utilized for the preparation of your monophasic solutions, or you are utilizing them for the preparation of your solution, suspension, emulsion. So that type of containers or the equipment should have the good quality. So they should be made up of the steel. Otherwise what will happen? They can have the corrosion. Suppose corroded material are there, or the corroded equipments are there, and in that you are preparing your preparation, then what will happen? That corrosion part will come inside your preparation, or it may cause any problem with your preparation. So for that purpose, whatever the equipments you are using, that equipments must be have the good quality, made up of the good we can say metal, as well as they should be cleaned properly when they want to utilize. Then cleaning of equipment. So generally whatever the equipments you are using, first of all you have to clean them very well by using the good water source, as well as we have to sanitize them before utilization. It means we have to kill the presence of microorganism, as well as we can use the disinfecting agents for the cleaning of your equipments to avoid the presence of microorganism, as well as sometimes we can sterilize them with the help of alcohol. So by any way, we have to remove the presence of microorganism, foreign particles, dust material from your equipments. Then compounding procedure or the method of preparation. So in this case, when you are preparing your any kind of dosage forms, so whatever the procedure is given for the preparation of your dosage form, that procedure we have to follow. Suppose they have said that first of all you take your raw material, and weigh it properly, then you have to go for the weighing of that material. So you should not miss the any kind of step while making your dosage forms. So we have to stick to your method of preparation. Then regarding the packaging material, whenever you are finishing your preparation, then it should be transmitted into the final container, which is suitable for your preparation. Suppose you are preparing your solutions and you are adding it into the very large container, then how can your consumer will utilize it? So you have to supply the dropper also. Suppose you are preparing the ointment, then it should be stored into the wide mouth bottle. Then only it is feasible to apply it, like your Jhandu balm is there. So it is kept into the wide mouth bottle. Then only it is possible to apply with your finger. So in this way, we can say that whatever the packaging material you are preparing or utilizing, that should be matched with your preparation, as well as that packaging material should not interact with your product. So it should protect your product. It should not interact with it, or it should not deteriorate its quality. So by this way, by considering all those things, we should choose the your good quality of packaging material. Most probably we are using the plastic as well as the glass type of material for storing your final preparation. Then filling procedure is there. There are so many methods are there for the filling of your container preparation into the final container. Then these are the liquid filling systems. There are the top filling system, bottom filling system, then palletized filling is there.